Hey there, and welcome back to Richmond Woodworks. So on today's episode, what we're doing is continuing on with the Mitre Saw Station build. So this is part 3 of the Mitre Saw Station build. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll link it up in the little corner up above. So we have a jam-packed episode here today. So we have all the drawer components cut and ready to go. We've edge banded them, cut them, and we've also done, I don't know how many pocket holes. I'm just going to go with 16,000 because that's what it feels like. Anyway, so now what we have to do is we have to assemble all the drawers, which is going to take quite a bit of time as well. And then we need to put them inside the cabinets, mount them with the drawer slides. And then finally, we're going to put the tabletop or the bench top on top of it as well. So it's actually going to finally start looking like a Mitre Saw Station build instead of just a handful of empty carcass boxes mounted to the wall. But anyway, so let's get on with it. So the next task I have to do is assembling. I lost count of how many drawers I have to assemble. It's quite a lot. Anyway, so I have my clamps to clamp everything together, and I have a bunch of pocket hole screws, and I've made so many pocket holes. I think it was 64,598. Nah, just joking. So what you do is you have the drawer bottom. Obviously this is inverted so you can see, and you screw the drawer bottom into the sides and into the fronts, and the fronts are screwed into the sides, and it's all held together by clamps while you're screwing them so it doesn't shift around too much. And with these Bessie clamps, you can really reef it in. And I have these Torquato ones as well, which are a little bit more lightweight, but you can't really kind of exert that pressure as much as you need to. These Bessie clamps are really good. Anyway, I have so many drawers to do and a little bit of time to do it in. So let's get cracking, eh? So there's a few options when you're adding drawer runners into carcasses like these. So you have just normal packers. This is a 3mm packer, and you put the first one down the bottom, or a few of them, and you put the first set of drawer runners with the drawer on it, and you screw them in. And then you measure off the top of each drawer as you go further up. Now the risk is if your drawers are not 100% square and 100% exactly the same size as one another, what you'll find is that every single millimeter or two compounds as you work your way up the carcass, and you'll find that towards the end, and I've had this happen to me before, just say the right hand corner will be pretty much touching and the left hand corner will be drooping by about 5mm. So it's quite frustrating, you know, the fact that you spent so much time and energy putting these things together and it doesn't line up properly. Another alternative is to use something like these Craig drawer runner guides. They're actually pretty good. What I do find though is for heavier drawers, such as like those extra large ones I have with melamine, they do tend to droop towards the back and you really have to clamp them in hard. But even still, being melamine, there's not a lot of grip on it and these things tend to slip. So what you find is that the front of the drawers looks perfectly fine, but the back is actually sagging down, and you don't really notice until you put the drawer front on, and every single drawer front looks like a series of weatherboards down a house, which is quite frustrating considering how much time you spend on it as well. Another one I've seen, and I've seen a few YouTubers do this, I think it could work quite well, is you just cut up a series of spaces. So it could be MDF or some scrap wood you have lying around, and you cut the first one, might be 200mm, then 400, then 600, then however far your drawers are spaced apart. That's one alternative. A mix on that is that you put in your first set of drawer runners and you hope that they're completely bang on square and level, and then you make your spaces off a series of drawers, so you don't have to use so much material just to cut up spaces as well. So it saves you a little bit of money. Don't really know which one I'm going to use yet, but stick around and find out. Hey, what do you think every single Mitre Saw station needs in the corner? More dust collection? No, no, no. More storage? Maybe, but not this time. How about a beer fridge? Let's put it in. Oh yeah, that's great. Might need to change this hinge over to the other side, but I think it all looks pretty good. All right, let's change the hinge over now. It's pretty easy, just a few screws. Let's go. And there you have it, easy as that. A beer fridge in a Mitre Saw station. What will they think of next? I think we should load it up. Cheers. Wonderful. Might take the rest of the afternoon off. I deserve it. Hey, so next up what we're doing is we're going to put the tabletop on top of our Mitre Saw workstation. So I've had this tabletop for a little while. It's been sitting in the back of my spare room. I actually used it for my office desk and I liked it so much I bought a couple of more sheets. Actually, I had it since 2020 when COVID kicked off, thinking that I was going to redo my whole study, but I never did. Anyway, so I'm going to repurpose it because recycling's a good thing to do. I'm going to repurpose it for the top of this Mitre Saw bench. It's actually pretty thick at 22 millimeters or 25 millimeters, I think. So it's about an inch and it's pretty sturdy. It's a nice hardwood Merbau, or is Merbau hardwood? Whatever. Anyway, let's install it. It's going to be pretty easy. All I need to do is just notch out for this little steel beam here, and there's one on the other side as well next to the Mitre Saw station. That's pretty easy with a jigsaw. So let's get started. I think that looks amazing. Now, the only issue is that this lip didn't come out as far enough as I hoped, because if we grab if we grab a 16mm potential draw front, I'm probably going to do it out of MDF. It sticks out in front. So what I want to do, is have a bit of a lip over the top so dust doesn't fall inside the drawers, because I find that incredibly frustrating. So I need to work out what I'm going to do with the back, and I had some friends over just recently. They were helping me around the shop, which was great. And one of them suggested I do a bit of a backsplash, and I actually really like that idea. I just need to work out what color I'm going to do, whether it's going to be the same as the drawer fronts, or whether it's going to be something a little bit different, or maybe something a little bit decorative. I have to work that out. Otherwise, dust and that one drill bit that you really need, you only have one of, would no doubt fall back there, and that's going to be incredibly frustrating. So I reckon we do that backsplash. It's a great idea. Thanks for that, Matt. Cool, so now that it fits, everyone's favorite job, sanding. Here we go. What we need to do is have a wet rag, and what you do is just go over the timber itself. And what happens is that the grains of the timber start raising up a little bit. So it's very smooth to touch at the moment, but after you wet it, you'll feel a little bit furry. And then you get something like 400 grit, and just with a hand sander, you don't need to do a lot. Just have a very light pass, and then you wait, you dust it off, and then you wet it again, wait for it to dry, and then you sand it off again. You can do that as many times as you want, but you want to, probably not as many times as you want, because eventually you'll start going down to the next layer of grain progressively, and you want to avoid that. Otherwise, all you're going to be doing is raising fibers and sanding it down, and then you'll be left with a 1mm thick slab of timber. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to do now. So we'll cut to it. So now it's ready for finish. So here I have everything I need to finish off the tabletop. So I have this Feast Watson's wipe-on poly. So you can buy that from Bunnings. I think it's like maybe $30 or so. I have a couple of gloves because I don't really like the smell of it on my fingers, and a clean rag. That's pretty important there, because you don't want to just be using any old rag and add some additional crap into there. Especially if you're working on fine furniture or something for the house. In a workshop, it's a little bit different. However, I am trying to do everything really nice in the workshop, because it is a place I really want to enjoy. So let's kick that off, eh? Put a pretty generous coat on, because I'm gonna let that sit overnight and dry, and then in the morning those little wipe marks will come up a little bit if you look really closely, but then you hit it again with that 400 grit, just very lightly, wipe it off, and then I might do just one light coat, and that will be it. And wow, it looks so nice. Hey there, and good morning. So left hand side is completely dry. It came up perfect, looks beautiful. And now it's time to focus on the right hand side, so I just need to chop that down. That's pretty easy. And the Mitre Saw carcass itself. Now melamine can flex under load, under heavy load after a little while. And I've experienced this in the past where I had a drawer just didn't close anymore because the two faces hit each other. So what I'm going to do this time is use the same material as I used on the bench tops under the Mitre Saw itself, and that 25mm thickness will give it that rigidity it needs, and hopefully it won't bow and I'll be able to close this drawer. So what I need to do now is literally just take the measurements here and the measurements at the back, just in case it is a little bit out of whack, and also need to cut around this metal post as well. So right hand side, middle, let's cut to it. It's going to be pretty straightforward. I have everything ready to go outside on the borer centipede thing. So let's measure and cut.
Oh wow, it's like I measured it or something. Perfect. Now, sand it down and put some poly on it. And wait for it to dry. And screw it in and admire my new tabletop. Easy.
And there you have it. That takes us to the end of part 3 of the Mitre Saw Station build. I hope you really enjoyed that, because I really enjoyed filming it, as well as seeing my workshop very slowly come together as well. Stay tuned next week, where I think we might be finishing off the Mitre Saw Station build. Fingers crossed. But really, are you ever finished any project in the workshop? There's always little tweaks and little things to do, right? So what I also hope to do next week is maybe go through a little bit of a walkthrough, so I can run you through exactly what the little features are and those little things that didn't come up on camera. Thank you all for sticking around. I know this probably was a little bit longer than usual, because I tried to pack so much into it. So if you do like this longer form factor, please let me know. I do try to stick to maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes. I think this might be a little bit above, but please like and subscribe and all those good things, and leave a comment, because I really enjoy responding to all your comments, and I have responded to every single one so far. So the more comments, the better. And I will see you all in the next one. So take care of yourselves. Bye.